Hello, everybody.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to the reading of Chapter 9, Tao Te Ching by Mysterious Lao Tzu. Here is my co-host Cordelh.
And here's my co-hostess, Kara Nodrik.
Thanks. Okay, I will read the translation by Stephen Mitchell. And Cordelh will read the translation by Jim Gladfather. Okay, here we go. Fill your bowl to the brim, and it will spill. Keep sharpening your knife, and it will blunt. Chase after money and security, and your heart will never unclench. Care about people's approval, and you will be their prisoner. Do your work, then step back. Is the only path to serenity.
Very pretty. Lovely. Okay. Don't fill a bowl till it's more than full, or sharpen a blade till it must go dull. Don't pile up treasures that come at great cost. Approval and riches are easily lost. Can you only do what's really needed? Then stop and redraw when your task is complete.
Wow. Excellent translation. I love that one. Wow.
Yeah, very political.
Okay. So, what do you think about the first part? Fill your bowl to the brim, and it will spill. Keep sharpening your knife, and it will blunt.
I think it's two different ideas. The one, for example, in which you fill your bowl to the brim is a sort of metaphor of, when you try really hard to get something perfect, and you actually try too hard, and you try so hard that it spills because, it fails, not because a person did it or did not do it, but because they just pour too much into that desire of reaching perfection. It's actually, I personally take it that way. Like, it's a criticism on trying to reach perfection instead of accepting what you managed to make and then just, giving it away. It's like if I had to fill 2 champagne glass, and then instead of trying to go at the same height with champagne, I try to go to the brim so it would be equal for everybody. But obviously I would lose some part of it by filling it up too much, and perhaps one of the glass would fall, or people would start panicking because, I spilled champagne on the floor or whatever.
I think you are right with the idea that it is about overdoing something. It's also, if you're trying too hard, you will inevitably fail, because the glass can never be too full for you. In a sense, it's also be happy with what you have somehow.
What you do.
Don't get too greedy.
Mm-hmm.
In a sense, that's what comes up to me as well. What about the second part?
Yeah, the sharpening your knife and it will blunt, keep sharpening your knife. In the poem it goes, or sharpen a blade till it must go dull. Well, I think that's the concept of getting ready for something and never doing it. It's like, let's say you're gonna get into a fight. So you have to sharpen your sword or your knife. But instead of going and doing it, you just keep on sharpening it. Because, you know, the pressure, the stress of the upcoming fight. And then eventually, well, because you got so much stress on the being ready for it, suddenly, well, your weapons, they go dull. A person goes a little soft, or they hesitate too much instead of jumping at the right moment, at the right time. That's what I think it is. It's a sort of metaphor. Obviously, you know, nobody fights with knives, hopefully, in or Western civilization, but still.
I relate to that as well. So it's preparing yourself, and never doing it actually. And then you will. It is connected to the first one, like
Yeah,
feeling the pull too high and not being able to carry it,
it's
and preparing yourself so long that you not even want to execute it or
in
have the capacity to execute
in
it.
a
Anyway,
way, it's the same thing, going in the same direction, but it's two different aspects of it. You know, like overdoing and over preparing. You know,
yeah. What about the third part? Chase after money and security, and your heart will never unclench. It's like your heart will never rest.
well, yeah, because there is no such thing as 100% security, and there is no end to how much a person can actually make. You know, like when we look at the world and we see the extra rich family, the one thing we can notice is that if there is no government control on wealth, there is no limit to how much wealth a person can make. And eventually it leads to some form of imbalance, you know?
But it, I think it also specifically talks about if you chase after this unattainable goal of enormous amounts of security, enormous amount of wealth, enormous amount of recognition, you will keep chasing it. You will be stuck.
I think it's like that saying that says, you can never be too rich. You know, I say it in a sarcastic version because I see it with a lot of irony. But in a way, it shows how people are ambitious towards something that's extremely abstract instead of concentrating on something that may be less obviously, you know, like powerful, like money, social hierarchy and stuff like that. And actually being content with pure creation instead of, you know, me first, basically.
Yeah. And then it ties up to the next part. Care about people's approval, and you will be their prisoner. You basically don't listen to your needs. You listen whatever other people might approve.
If a person cares too much about how they perceived, they become the prisoner of that perception and forget who they really are. At the same time, it also means that one has to seek out people that disapprove with one, not because, you know, they disapprove with anger or other negative feelings like that, but because the challenge makes us grow. And even if we disagree, the concept of having to always rethink about our values is what makes them stronger and also more flexible.
I keep thinking about people who are dedicating their life to be approved by others and never reach happiness. Those ultimate people pleasers. This is an extremely touching part of the chapter somehow, like kind of speaks to me especially. Yeah. Okay. The last part. Do your work, then step back. It's the only path to serenity. Is that about detachment? Is that detaching yourself from the outcome?
Well, it's all a question of, to me, it goes back to the basic concept of reward. If a person does something for a reward, it means that they're not really doing that thing for its own sake. And in that sense, I think that's what he's pointing out. You know, you have to do the things for the sake of those things without expecting to be thanked, rewarded, or anything like that. Just do to do, you know, do to doing for the mere fact of doing it in itself. And a lot of people, if not all of us as human beings, we have a tendency to attach ourselves to what we do and tend to translate it in a sort of imaginary reward that we feel we deserve. And in the end, we end up not doing the work itself for the sake of that work. We end up doing it for our own self. And it changes the nature of how we engage in such an activity. And there, when he says, for example, for example, the sentence that follows is the only path to serenity. And in the poetry version, it's, can you only do what's really needed, then stop and withdraw when your task is completed. And it's the concept that, you know, the only way to be satisfied with what you did is not if somebody else rewards you, is if you did it with your full heart and you made it something that you love for doing it for its own sake, basically.
I understand. It's like this concept of being rather than having. One thing is having the reward, having completed the task. That is not the way. The way of the Tao, if I understand, is being in the moment, being full-heartedly in perfection in your art project or whatever work you do. In everything, just be present. And then when it's done, it's done, it's gone. Don't hold on to it, just move on. Only wise.
You know what's funny? I feel like this chapter is a really good chapter for a lot of Aquarius that have way realism, get way too attached to what they're doing, and then, you know, like, care too much about the approval and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, feels like one of those things that is a good tip for any Aquarius out there.
Oh my god.
Don't over prepare, don't be so perfectionist that you will never finish the work. Yeah, definitely stuff that's good for an Aquarius.
I think for a lot of people, Okay, well, in that case, guys, Aquariuses or all other signs, have an amazing time ahead of you. Doesn't matter how long. Just enjoy your life. And Cordelh and I will see you in the next chapter of Tao Te Ching. What?
Live long and prosper.
Oh, hold on. Yay!
Okay, bye-bye.
And please, don't forget to subscribe to the links below and join us in Pinter Poet Society. We appear there from time to time. Just hang out with us and say hi in comments. Bye.
Bye.